Hello friends, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365, and in this video I will be going over the worst and most disappointing 4K Blu-rays of 2022. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell notification. You can also find me over Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at Movie Guy 365. Okay, in today's video, I will be giving you my 2022 worst and most disappointing 4K Blu-rays. We as collectors, when it comes to the format, expect, I think, pretty much great picture quality and audio, and sometimes a couple titles slip through that we don't really get it. They're either subpar or just flat out disappointing, and we all have those titles every year. Of course, throughout the year, there are going to be releases that have some sort of technical issue, whether a glitch in the audio or picture or something like that. I'm not going to include those in this particular list because I feel a lot of times, especially boutique labels, they go about replacement programs such as 12 Monkeys that had an obvious glitch in it, and I'm not going to fault it at that because that issue has been more or less resolved. So this is going to focus purely on picture, audio, and unfortunately, it's just something that went wrong in either one or both cases. When it comes to lists like these, of course, it's going to be very subjective. Yours will be very different, but I do encourage you to put in the comments section below, what would you put on your worst or most disappointing 4K Blu-rays of 2022? Also, I think this goes without saying, it has no reflection on the movie itself. This is purely based off picture and audio, some disappointment, or something that really warranted to be on this particular list. And I didn't put these in any particular order. So, my number one is not my number one. It's just, movies that I feel on 4K that just didn't live up to expectations in 2022. Okay, so with that down, let's get started. And here is my first pick. Normally when it comes to classic Hollywood films, I feel 4K is the best representation of a home format version of those movies. A lot of times with the recent release, let's say, of Casablanca, that is an exquisite looking 4K picture. But occasionally, even the classics have a bad day on the format. Now, I hesitated putting this particular movie on the list because of certain reasons when it comes to the original source, and that is Giant. Overall, on paper, this should be an immaculate looking 4K disc. But unfortunately, due to the source related issues, some shots, and I would say quite a few, I would say almost an even 50-50 split between the film, they come across lesser quality. It's almost like you're going from a 4K pristine image to almost a DVD quality. Also, there is some mild grain management, and there's in those affected shots, it can look a little blurry. Once again, I really didn't want to put this one on the list because I feel they could only do as good as what they were given with the source. But I wanted to include it, but I do recommend, if you are a fan of the film, pick up the 4K anyway. You just have to manage expectations on what to see when it comes to the image quality. My next pick is going to be the Severin release of The Changeling. This is another unfortunate result of a problem with the original source. The OCN, or original camera negative, of The Changeling was lost to time, so you really couldn't do a proper restoration for the film. So as a result, you're going to have a rough looking image even on 4K. Color timing is also a little bit off on this one, and just some of the imperfections and blemishes just really stand out, and it's just one of those that it's a very unfortunate situation all around. And if I remember correctly, the Blu-ray also had a couple issues that they had to re-press the disc or something like that. But yeah, the 4K, it's unfortunately not going to be a really great upgrade. If you're a diehard fan of the film and you got the extra cash, with this being a boutique label, it's going to cost a bit more. Sure, go ahead and invest in it. I did because I am a huge fan of the film. But if you're expecting a great restoration, it's not going to happen here. So yeah, The Changeling, unfortunately, has to make the list. When it comes to the major studios releasing catalog titles, normally it's a cause for celebration. Sony puts out stellar 4K releases. They just recently released Volume 3 of the Columbia Classics Collection and the Sony Classics Collection, 11 titles in that one. And I feel that really the transfers are excellent. The same can be said for Universal and Warner Brothers, but then you have Paramount. Yeah, I don't know what's going on there, but the first one on my list, and not the last one, is going to be Saturday Night Fever. Now, while I will say that the colors look really good on this, I feel that Dolby Vision does a great job with the palette. When it comes to the amount of DNR applied, it's just kind of baffling. This movie just looks ultra smoothed out at times. Sometimes it looks nice and grainy and proper and the way it should look. Others, it's just very smooth. And then the audio. For some inexplicable reason, the same Dolby audio that is on the Blu-ray is worse on the 4K disc. It's just not, I don't know, it just lacks an oomph to it or an overall energy. I don't know what happened there. I mean, this disc is just one of those that is kind of an enigma to me. But yeah, unfortunately, I cannot recommend Saturday Night Fever, and that is why it made my worst of 2022 4K Blu-ray list. This next one was another boutique release, and that is The Craft from Shout Factory. This is a tale of good and bad. On the good, it has a really solid HDR and Dolby Vision grading. I mean, colors look nice and lush, black levels are solid, but the bad, sometimes the bit rates in this film nosedive to like practically the bottom. This is a very odd, kind of thing, because if you compare it to the Blu-ray also released from Shout Factory, bit rates tend to hover, I believe, somewhere in the 70s or 80s. But in the same scenes on the 4K disc, they almost go to the single digits, and it does affect the image quality. This is just one of those I don't understand, and what makes me very frustrated is Shout Factory's refusal to acknowledge anything wrong. Because you can notice the difference. I mean, I didn't even have to pull up the meter, and you could tell right away something was amiss. I don't know, it's just one that I feel more disappointed in Shout Factory than the disc itself, but, it's just one of those things that it is what it is. But I'm hoping one day it'll get rectified. I mean, maybe some other label will get a hold of it and kind of correct it, but yeah, The Craft on 4K, unfortunately, it had to make the list. This next one is another Shout Factory release, and you probably know which one I'm going to be talking about, and that is Platoon. I'm not going to lay full blame on Shout Factory for this one. I'll get a little bit on them, but they were only given the MGM remastered DNR heavy fest that is Platoon for putting out on 4K. So as a result, this is a smeary, smoothed out mess, and I don't even know what to say about this one. I've heard reports that Oliver Stone prefers how a DNR film looks. I really hope that's not true. Maybe it was taken out of context. If there's a quote out there, I don't know. But yeah, the 4K edition of Platoon is just not worth it. It is bad. It's visually, just seeing the smoothness, the grain completely scrubbed out, the waxiness of all the characters. It's just, I don't know. It's just one of those that, just get your hands on the pre-remastered Blu-ray and call it a day, because this 4K edition is definitely not worth it. It's really disappointing because I enjoy the film. I don't know if we're ever going to get a better edition. I mean, that's really up to, people above my pay grade. But yeah, Platoon on 4K, it is definitely not worth it, and it certainly makes the 4K worst of 2022 list. Once again, we circle back around to Paramount and their catalog releases, and this time the victim is Fatal Attraction. This is a movie that, while it's not the most visually stunning film out there, I mean, it doesn't have, bold and bright, vivid colors or fantastic settings, locations or landscapes. I still at the very least expected a little refinement and enhancement to the picture. But what we got instead was just a DNR wax fest. It's one of those movies that I felt when they were mastering it, the guy in charge of DNR flipped a switch, went out to a very long lunch, came back in the end credits and like, oh, I left it on. That's kind of how it felt like. I mean, it's just one of those that I don't understand the decisions that was made in this one. It's unfortunate because the movie is a compelling thriller, great performances, but if you are a videophile and you're just staring at this picture, you're not paying attention to what's happening on screen, you're like, why does everybody look like they should be at, the wax museum? It's just a thing. Unfortunately, it's just one I cannot recommend. I said so over in my review, but yeah, it's this one is disappointing. And Paramount, get your act together. It's just weird at this point. My next worst of 4K 2022 is, oh hey, it's another Paramount title. Yeah, you guys, we don't know what's happening with this. It's just one of those things that, unfortunately, a movie such as Planes, Trains, and Automobiles fell victim. Look, they recently released Wayne's World, which I felt was a solid transfer. I mean, the 4K looked good. It even restored the stairway chords, in the audio. But Planes, Trains, and Automobiles gets the short end of the stick for whatever reason. It's not a huge disaster, I would say, as Fatal Attraction. But it is disappointing because it's just like zap, zap, DNR, zap, DNR. Like, it's just random at this point because there's some shots that look great. They look fantastic. It looks cinematic. But then the next scene over, everybody looks like, you know, they swallowed a bottle of turtle wax. It's just one of those things. Honestly, if you're going to pick up the 4K, pick it up just for the deleted scenes at this point. But it's just a movie that disappointed me on the 4K level. I expected a lot better for it. And unfortunately, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, it's a victim of the DNR hit stick. And my final pick for the worst 4K Blu-ray of 2022, that honor or dishonor will go to the Disney release. Yes, Disney made the list of Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl. I don't even know where to begin on this one, honestly, because if you've seen the Blu-ray, you know, or forget the Blu-ray, if you've seen it theatrically like I have, the movie is set in the Caribbean. Okay, great. That means color should pop. That means, you know, great visuals. But it looks like sunglass mode was activated. Everything looks like it was just cast in overcast. And nothing pops off this one. I mean, it's not good. It is not good. Oh, and hey, let's throw a little bit of DNR in this one as well. Because it's there, folks. I am beyond disappointed with this 4K release. I mean, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl is, I feel, a fun movie. It's in one of my favorite adventure movie lists of all time. But here, it's just not a good 4K. It isn't. I cannot recommend this one in any way, shape, or form. I would recommend you watch the Disney Plus version or the digital version on 4K before you get the disc. It's not good. It's, oh wow. I mean, it's just one that I still today, I mean, I can't believe that this even passed quality control, but yes, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl is on this list of worst 4K Blu-rays of 2022. Of course, a lot of this list did focus on the picture. I understand that. But audio is also something that I'm very passionate about. And I want to make a special mention of, you know, releasing movies that should have been upgraded in the audio department. You know, the ones I think of recently that could have really benefited was Poltergeist. While the picture was really good, I enjoyed it. Also, The Lost Boys came out the same day. I really think they could have went the extra mile and included an upgraded audio, an Atmos. Sometimes the audio, the original that they include, is a little dated. And we have quite a few of those in 2022. And I don't see that changing in 2023. But I would like to urge the studios, you know, if you can, invest a little bit more in the upgraded audio experience. I know a lot of us would appreciate it. And it's just one of the things that makes the 4K format so good is when we get upgraded audio, it really shows, and it's very rarely going to be worse than what came before. So that's just my wish list for 2023. But now it's time for you in the comment section below. Let me know, what were your worst 4K Blu-rays of 2022? Go ahead and sound off in the comments. And if there was something I didn't include on my list, go ahead and check out my review. I do all these 4K reviews throughout the year, and there's probably some reasoning in there why I did not include it on a worst list of the year, but yeah, check it out. Of course, it is subjective, but yeah, let me know in the comments. In the meantime, please like, subscribe, hit that bell notification. So until next time, this is Adam with Movie Guy 365. I will see you at the movies.